Hey there, CJ students, and welcome to Rational Number Fluency. So today we're going to continue to work with fractions, decimals, and percents and show how they are all equivalent or equal. So I'm going to give you an improper fraction to start. We're then going to change that improper fraction to a mixed number, draw it as a picture, change that mixed number into a decimal, draw that decimal as a picture, change that decimal into a percent, and then we're going to practice also taking half or dividing by 2 of that improper fraction, or doubling or multiplying by 2 of that fraction, so we can see what half and what double of our original number looks like. So let's start off by taking our improper fraction and making it into a mixed number. We know this is improper because we have a numerator that is larger than a denominator. So to do this, we're going to divide our denominator, which was bottom number 2, and we're going to do that into our numerator, 3. So 2 goes into 3 one time, without going over, with 1 left over. So we have 1 whole. Our new numerator is 1 over. We keep our denominator of 2. To draw this as a picture, we're going to divide this up into halves, because that was our denominator, and we're going to color in 3 of them. So there's 1 half, there's 2 halves, or 1 whole, and there's our 3rd half. So we can represent this picture as 3 halves over 2, or 1 whole and 1 half. Now, as a fraction, there's 2 ways we can change a fraction to a decimal. We can either divide the numerator by the denominator, or you can try and make a base 10. So let's use our mixed number that we got over here, 1 and 1 half, and ask ourselves, should we divide or let's make base 10? I think it might be easier to make base 10 here, because all we have to do is multiply 1 half by 5. In doing so, we get 1 and 5 over 10. And now this as a decimal is just simply 1 whole point and 5 tenths, so 1.5. To draw this decimal as a picture, we ask ourselves, how many wholes do we have first? 1. And how many decimals do we have? We have 0.5, so that's 5 tenths. So we can color in or shade in 5 of these 10 values, because this is 100 squared. So there's 4, and there's 5. So that's 1 whole, and half of that hundreds chart filled in for the 0.5. To change the decimal to a percent, we're going to go ahead and write our decimal, 1.5. We are then going to start at the decimal and scoot 2 times to the right. Put a little arrow on the end so I know that I was moving to the right. And empty spaces get filled in with a 0. So 1.5 becomes 150, or 150%. And that makes sense because 100% is 1 whole. How many wholes do we have? We have 1, as you can see in all of those spaces. And 0.5 is 50%. So 1.5 would be 150%. Now for the fractions, again, we're going to start with our original improper fraction, which in this case was 3 over 2. And I want to take half of it, so I'm going to divide by 2 over 1. It's like if I had, $50 and I wanted to break it apart between me and you, we divide that by 2. So that's exactly what we're going to do there. So now, the only trick about this is you cannot divide fractions. We just flip it, and we turn this into multiplication. So 3 over 2 becomes 3 over 2 times 1 over 2, right? We took our second fraction, we flipped it, and changed this division to multiplication. Now when we're multiplying, we just go straight across. So we get our answer of 3 times 1, which is 3, 2 times 2, which is 4. So our answer is 3/4. And let's think about that. That makes sense because if I had $1.50 and I divided it between 2 people, one person would get 75 cents and the other person would get 75 cents. And what is 3/4 as a decimal? It's 75 cents, right? Or 0.75. And now the last thing we're going to do is take, again, that original fraction, 3 over 2, and we're going to double it this time. So times 2 over 1. Beautiful thing about multiplication is you don't have to do any flipping, right? You're just simply going to multiply straight across. And we're going to get our answer of 3 times 2, which is 6. 2 times 1, which is 2. Just make sure these are simplified, right? So right now I have 6 over 2. Well, what is 6 over 2? Well, you could say, oh, I divide that by 2, Mr. Mason. Okay, fine. You divide it by 2. You get 3 over 1. Well, what is 3 over 1? 3 divided by 1 is simply 3. And again, that makes sense. If I said you had $1.50 and you wanted to double it, that would end up being $3. All right, so that's it. The rest we're going to do together.